or she'll fucking kill you. Stir her up in the wrong way or do the wrong thing and you're fucked. Don't ever think of playing up on her. She'll fucking kill you. And that was her mother talking, he said. She told me she's got something loose. She's got a screw loose somewhere.
That is wild.
That is wild. So this is your wedding day, and her mom is telling you this. So it doesn't take long for him to see that her mom knew what she was talking about. The night of their wedding, they actually consummate their marriage 3 times, and she is extremely disappointed and mad and furious, goes into a rage because he falls asleep after the 3rd time, and she expected more. She was told that her mom had actually done it about 5 to 6 times on her wedding night, and so that's what she was expecting, and she wanted more. And after being on a drunken bender for like 2 days now, he basically just goes to sleep and passes out, and she's furious. So she starts to strangle him. He wakes up and he fights her off, and despite that, that begins their next 10 years together. One time he makes the finals in a darts competition, and he arrives home late after the competition, and his clothes are being burned. She hits him in the back of the head with a frying pan and ends up fracturing his skull. She persuades him to drop the charges, and he does end up dropping the charges. So Kellett was often unfaithful to Katherine throughout the marriage, and he had attempted to leave quite a few times with good reason.
I was about to say, you can't really blame the man.
Yeah, he needed to get out. So after she discovers one of the affairs, she ends up very, very furious, disgruntled. They have a 2-month-old infant at this time. He leaves to go to his girlfriend's house, and she places their 2-month-old baby, Melissa, on the local train tracks, on top of the train tracks, minutes before the train gets there. And a local actually sees the baby on the train tracks and rescues her just minutes before the train would have been able to kill her. So she also stole an axe and went into town and was swinging it around, threatening several people with it. She definitely suffers from postpartum depression, and after a lot of people saw her one day violently pushing and swinging her second child in a stroller, she was swinging her down a busy street and slamming the stroller into walls and fences. So after that scene, she's sent to a psychiatric hospital. During one of her stays in the psychiatric hospital, she actually checks herself out the next day. There were conflicting stories on which was which, but one of the stays she actually gets out the next day. One of them she ends up staying for a couple of months. A few days later, she ends up slashing the face of a woman with one of her sharp knives, and she demands her to drive Katherine to Queensland. She's going to go find Kellett, and she's going to kill him. She's going to find him with the other woman. She's going to kill him. She's going to kill her mom, or his mom, I'm sorry. And they also stop at a service station. She's wanting to kill the mechanic because he fixed Kellett's car and he was able to leave her. So at this point, she's blaming everyone but herself, and she's wanting to kill everyone, basically. The woman is able to escape, thank God. But by the time police arrive, Knight has already taken a little boy hostage. She's now threatening him with the knife. So this lady is a mess.
Yeah, she's just all over the place, huh?
So she's taken to a psychiatric hospital again, and she confesses that was pretty much her plan, to go kill everybody, kill the mechanic, kill Kellett, kill his mom. And she is released from the psychiatric hospital. At this point, Kellett is over love, the idea of love. He's no longer with her because he loves her, but he feels really sorry for her, and he doesn't know what to do. And so him and his mother actually end up going and getting Katherine out of the psychiatric hospital. She's released into their care, and they ride off into the sunset, all three of them, and live happily ever after. Just kidding. So he is basically leaves the girlfriend, goes back, tries to work it out. I don't know why this happens, but they end up having another baby. So this is their third baby. The first and the second didn't go well. Third time is not the charm in this one. So they end up ending their relationship in 1984, and it seemed pretty uneventful when they finally did end it, but who knows. So she moves back to Aberdeen. She moves back with her parents. She starts working back in familiar territory in the abattoir. So she ends up hurting her back there because it's rough work. It is hard on your back. It's hard on your hands. It's hard on everything. So she goes on disability at that point. So shortly after that, she meets David number 2. Oh, it's right. So she jumps into this new relationship with head first, right? With a local miner. He soon moves in with her. At this point, her housing is paid for because she's on basically what we would call workers' compensation. So her housing is paid for. It works a little different there, apparently. But so he moves in with her and her daughters. He still chooses to keep his own apartment at this point. So it causes a lot of problems with Katherine. She's not the type to let you have your space. It's got to be her way. So she's always suspicious. She's always wondering what he's doing when he's going to his own apartment. This guy just really basically, it sounds like, wanted a place to escape to, because when he was worried about her, he could at least go back to his own place. So at one point, she gets so upset with him that she actually slits the throat of his 2-month-old puppy right in front of him, just to show him what's going to happen if he ever does cheat on her, and basically like trying to teach him a lesson. Like, this is what I'm capable of, and there's a lot of intimidation here.
That is dark.
It's horrible. Yeah.
And weird coincidence, happy National Puppy Day.
Is it National Puppy Day?
It is National Puppy Day.
Oh, happy National Puppy Day, friends. So she also hits him in the back of the head with a frying pan. Familiar territory there as well. A year later, they have a baby. And it prompts them to buy a house. So I think I'm wrong. I think they actually, in her first one, she only had 2 kids. So I think that she had 2 kids in that one. One with this David, and then still more to come. So this David number 2, David Saunders, puts a down payment down on a house, and she pays it off when the rest of her money comes in from her disability. So she does what any woman does when they get a brand new house. They decorate, right? So she just goes to town decorating on this place. She loves decorating her new house with animal skins and dead animals and horns and skulls and rusty animal traps and leather jackets and old boots and machetes and rakes and pitchforks. Yeah. So this is great decor, right? It's kind of like your farmhouse minus the cuteness of the farmhouse look. Yeah. So no area in this house, if you see a picture of this, you're gonna die laughing. No area of this house is left untouched. There are literally rakes and things hanging from the ceiling. So she's into it. She's definitely into the decoration. So after an argument, she ends up hitting Saunders in the face with an iron, and she stabs him in the stomach with a pair of scissors. So he has had enough. He moves away. He tries to get away from her, right? I mean,
I
this
don't
is...
blame her. I blame him.
Yeah, exactly. The only way to do this is to leave your daughter, though. I mean, what are you going to do? She's going to kill you. And so that's what he's thinking, basically. He moves away, and he has to go into hiding just to get away from her. So he goes into hiding. She's trying to hunt him down, find him, and none of his friends cooperate, luckily, in giving up his location, because they know, and she's definitely earned herself a reputation by now. So he is pretty safe. And when he finally does return to see his daughter, he learns that Katherine has put a restraining order against him, and it's basically, she's been claiming that he's the one that's been violent, and all of the problems come from him. So he doesn't sound like he was able to see much of his children at that point. And yeah. So then she moves on to number 3, which is the most uneventful of the 3 relationships as far as these horrible events that are happening. So she meets John Chillingworth. They're together for 3 years. They end up having a son. There was one report of violence that I could find during this relationship. It didn't have a whole lot of details, but it talked about how he had hit her at some point in an attempt to get her off of him because she was attempting to hurt him. And so he had hit her in trying to get her to stop assaulting him. She ends up having an affair with a man named John Price, and Chillingworth leaves her. So not much else to be said about that one, and we will move on to relationship number 4.
Here we go.
So John Price, everybody calls him Pricey. He knows Kathy. He's been around the area. He knows all of these same people. It's a small area, and everyone knows everyone, and you know their reputation, basically. So he knows what Kathy is about, right? When he gets into the relationship, I don't know what he thought. Maybe it was just, you think it's going to be better when it's you. So he ends up in a relationship with Katherine. He's also a minor. He's able to make a pretty good life for them. So they move in together. This is 1995 at this point. So things are going pretty good so far. It's like a, kind of like her little fairy tale again. She starts to suggest marriage because she's ready to have the full-on fairy tale, right?
Uh-oh.
He's not into marriage. He's not interested in this. He has kids from a previous relationship. His kids actually liked her. They actually all got along. Everything was going fine. It seemed like at first, but she is furious because she wants marriage, and if he's not interested in being married, then she's definitely willing to coax him into it unwillingly. So she decides to start getting revenge at that point, because why wouldn't you, right? I mean, that's the way to a man's heart, is to
slitting his dog's throat.
Slitting the dog's throat. This woman. Man. So she ends up taking a video of a first aid kit. He had brought this first aid kit home from work. By all accounts, the first aid kit was expired materials. It was either about to be discarded or had already been discarded, but it was all expired. She videos this, sends it to his bosses at the mine, and he ends up being fired over it. He's been working there for 17 years, and he ends up being fired over taking a first aid kit that was expired, and her being, which he shouldn't have done maybe, but wow, she has lost it at this point. She's just mad. So he is obviously, he's going to be upset, right? He's going to get rid of this relationship, hopefully. So he splits up, lasts for a few months. So they begin to kind of date again, but he refuses at this point to let her move back in. He knows how she is. His friends at this point are completely done. They are telling him, if you get back with her, we want nothing to do with her. We're not going to be there for you. We nursed you through the first